Hi friends, I want to tell a little story because I'm really enjoying storytelling. I'm going to tell the story of one of the times in my grown-up life that I thought I was going to die. Which sounds very serious, but don't worry, I have a song to go with it. But before I do that, I want to talk about this. So I got this on Facebook by Nothing, along with like a bunch of other fabric, and I love it. I just like threw this on over this t-shirt and then I started to laugh and I was like, okay, like I want to share this with people. Also, I have a hole. Clearly I don't sew. Jenny needs to take up sewing because I have this massive hole, and these gloves are a little too small, these compression gloves, but they make my fingers feel good. So anyway, need to take up sewing so I can actually make like a real shirt out of this. And so I can do this. But yeah, I'm going to tell a little story, and because I like it to keep it real. And I also thought I would come on here because I'm in pain. I'm in physical pain, and I was thinking, I'm like, okay, I've napped today. I've already napped. I've eaten. I've done all the things, and I feel a lot of like tension in my body. So I was like, okay, I'm going to sing. And then I was like, you know what? I think I'll feel better if I talk and tell a story. So here we are. Okay. The story is, I'll make it short. The story is, in 2019, I was hospitalized because I was diagnosed with a liver injury. So usually when people hear those words, they either think of like two things, like somebody randomly stumbling over and like accidentally getting their liver stabbed by some random object in the ground, or maybe that's you, or they think of people who deal with substance abuse. I am fortunate enough to not deal with substance abuse, but what happened to me is I took a medication as prescribed, and I was a part of the 1% that had hepatic symptoms, so like liver inflammation symptoms, because I took this medication as prescribed. This was after I'd had Joan. I was dealing with some postpartum depression, which is super common. So I just took an antidepressant, and it worked okay for a little while, and then I got really sick, and it was really hard. It was a really hard time. And I think I just want to rewind a little bit and go back to when I said, like, I am fortunate enough to not deal with substance issues. I love all of you that do, and I have so much love and compassion for you, and I have zero judgment. I have my own issues. I have my own issues that I deal with that are, the reasons why I go to therapy and the reasons why I write songs. And so I'll share more about those things at a later time, but I just wanted to say that with kindness. I wanted to say that. So it was really crazy though. 2019, it was actually it was actually Easter. It was like Holy Weekend Easter. I was hospitalized twice, like within the same month. Joan was just over 1 year old. Robert was like 4, almost 4. No, 3. He was 3. That's right. Anyway, what that looked like for me is my liver enzymes were really elevated. I was severely jaundiced. Like my body was yellow, and then it was like I was not okay. I dropped 20 pounds. I could barely function. I couldn't function. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't take care of myself. I definitely couldn't take care of the kids. I could barely walk. Like I said, did I say I was 20 pounds underweight? It was horrible. And I had to undergo a lot of tests in the hospital before they found out what was going on. And it was really terrifying because there was no one there with me. There was no one there with me during like the scariest parts of it. And so I had all these teams of doctors come in, and and they came in with like hazmat masks. Like it was really scary, and instantly I knew something is very wrong. Something is very wrong, but what's wrong? these people that wanted to find out what was going on, but they didn't want to get close to me, and they thought I was contagious, and that I was like worried that I infected my family, and it was so terrifying. Then we found out it was just like really bad inflammation of my liver from a medication. But it would last a number of months that my enzymes were outside of normal range. And that event still affects me, because Western doctors won't say this, but the liver affects so much. It affects so many things. Everything is processed through the liver. It affects hormones. I mean, everything. So ever since then, it's been, gosh, it's 2025. It's been almost 6 years. I'm still affected by it. Like, my liver is great, thank God. But I have to be very careful and very intentional. Like, I'm very careful with things that I consume, products that I use. I'm not like paranoid about it. Some people might say I'm paranoid about it, but sometimes I have to be. I kind of have to be really careful. So this is a heavy story to share. But I thought I was going to die at that time. And that is when I learned so much about the liver. And I learned that there's just such a spectrum of like health and like, of like ease and then like dis-ease and health and lack of health. And there's like people who need liver transplants, and then there's people that like are so uncomfortable, and they're going to be uncomfortable and they're going to be miserable. Like I felt like my body was on fire. Like I couldn't sleep. I felt like my body was on fire. Nothing made me feel better, except for like, if they could just kind of sedate me, like to calm my whole nervous system down, that helped me. I did learn that IV hydration really helps me, and so I still do IV hydration. I learned that is helpful. And what's the other thing? Yeah, just cold. But yeah, I have, like, if you look closely enough, I mean, you can't. If I look closely enough, I can see I have some scars on my feet from scratching them so hard because I was in so much discomfort, because I was so itchy. Because that's what happens when your bilirubin is elevated and your liver's not okay. Like, your skin like freaks out. And I have a very high pain tolerance, and I think like I would rather go through something else than be itchy. But like I said, this was one time I thought I would die, and I didn't die. Thankfully, Dr. Randy Severance helped me eliminate and figure out what was causing the problem, and we figured out what it was. I stopped taking everything. I started like supplements, vitamins, like every single thing. I was very careful with shampoos, soaps, just everything. I started taking things like milk thistle just to help support my liver. And, my liver began to recover that same year. But this was an event that changed my life. And going through so much of it, when I felt alone, was really hard. So I have this song that I actually wrote at that time. I wrote this song at that time because, the recovery from the liver injury, it wasn't instant. It took time, and I really learned so much compassion for people with chronic conditions, because it can be very, very lonely. And all the people that you want to check in on you, they're usually too busy. And I think I can count on one hand the amount of people that visited me during this time. And maybe a part of that is my fault. Maybe a part of that is because I didn't reach out well enough, but I was so sick. I couldn't reach out. And thankfully my parents took care of my kiddos, and their dad did what he could at the time as well. And I'm grateful for all of that. But this was a significant event in my life, and it actually pales compared to my kidney infection and my kidney stones I had 2 years ago, which is another video because we're already at almost 10 minutes. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say, but this was significant for me, and I think I just want to get on here. I wanted to get on here and just say that when you feel alone, you're not actually alone. We're not actually alone because we're all connected to each other. But those dark nights of the soul, whether it's physically, emotionally, spiritually, those can be really hard to deal with. And I guess I just also want to say, don't give up. And that the way out is through. The way out is through. And when I wrote this song, I was, there were a couple people from my church that would bring me communion, like at home, because I was too sick to go, and that meant the world to me. Yeah. This song is a work in progress. And honestly, I haven't played it in a long time. I just opened up a journal and I was like, this is what I'm going to do right now. So it's a work in progress. And I think maybe I'm more of a storyteller and a lyricist and a poet than I am a songwriter. So my songs are very lyric heavy. It's also why, along with my physical conditions, it's why I don't make my playing very elaborate. It's just not my thing. It's not my thing. But the last thing I want to share is 4 years after the liver injury is when I had the kidney issues, and that was also at the same time that I did get my diagnosis of EDS, and that explained everything. It explained the genetics behind my hypersensitive liver. I was like, what the hell is going on? It explained that because I have a connective tissue disorder, it's like my connective tissue is all throughout my body. The elasticity of them allows for infections sometimes to spread easier, and it allows for organs to kind of get really messed up. So I have to take very, very good care of my organs. And one of the other things that I do that I'll share, and then I'll share the song, is I take animal organs. They're grass-fed. There's no additives. They're pure, and it's very interesting. I feel so much better on them, and so they support my organs. They support my need for proper nutrition, which has been really hard as someone with this condition. I've recently realized that I was low-key malnourished most of my life because I couldn't properly utilize nutrients because of my gut issues. So I'm done with my story. I'm grateful to be here. I'm not dead. All right, this is called I Will Not Fear. Yeah. You are my rock and fortress, strength when I am weary. You are my place of rest, where I lay my head. Your word is a lamp unto my feet, a light in the darkness. And even when I'm stumbling, I fall into your arms. Even when I feel alone, you are near, you are near. When my heart is broken, then will not fear, I will not fear. It is you who created me, you are making me new, you're making me new. I will trust in you. You will not abandon me, nor will you forsake me. You free me from oppression and save me from my enemies. Your mercy is my stability when all familiarity is removed. And when I have nothing, you are my glory. Glory. Here we go. Even when I feel heart is broken, I will not fear, I will not fear. It is you who created me, you're making me new, you're making me new. I will trust in you. You break my strongholds, I cling to you, I cling to you. You are in this with me, you'll see it through, you'll see me through. You have a plan for me, a future full of hope. I seek you with all my heart, you are my God, I will not fear. Even when I feel alone, you are near, you are near. When my heart is broken, I will not fear, I will not fear. It is you who created me, you're making me new, you're making me new. I will trust in you. Almost 17 minutes. I wonder if the video is going to cut off. We'll find out.